14 years. I've given everything to this city for 14 years. I refuse to sit here and panic about the exit door. The unthinkable is trending. Draymond Green potentially to the Los Angeles Lakers. The rumors are deafening. And you better believe LeBron James and Anthony Davis are watching this chaos unfold with laser focus. Their silence speaks volumes because this isn't just a trade, it's a tectonic shift that could shatter the power balance in the West. We are witnessing the violent death of the Golden State era. Think about it. One day, you are a god in the arena, a 4-time champion, the jagged edge of a dynasty that ruled the 2010s with an iron fist. Then the sun comes up, and the franchise you bled for is treating your legacy like a stack of chips at a high-stakes poker table in Vegas. That is the brutal reality staring Draymond Green in the face right now. Let's be real. If you told any basketball head 3 months ago that the Warriors would genuinely put their heartbeat on the chopping block, they would have laughed you out of the gym. But the laughter has died. We are standing in the wreckage. The NBA world is absolutely reeling. The Golden State Warriors have officially pulled the trigger, initiating trade talks for Draymond Green. A legendary 14-year run is dangling by a thread so thin, it might snap before this video ends. We aren't talking about dumping a bench player to save a few bucks. This is the Golden State Warriors. This is Draymond Green. This is the architect of the defense, the man who dragged 4 banners to the Bay, the man who reinvented the power forward position and made small ball lethal. But before we break down how the King, LeBron James, and AD are reacting to this potential earthquake, we have to look in the mirror and ask, how did we get to this breaking point? This bomb didn't just drop yesterday. The fuse has been burning for years, and the explosion is happening in slow motion right in front of our eyes. Insiders at ESPN and The Athletic are confirming the worst. Green's name is hot in active trade discussions as the February 5th, 2026 deadline screams closer. Now, listen closely. This isn't the Warriors trying to disrespect a legend. They know what he built. They know what he sacrificed. But in this league, loyalty is the first casualty. This is about cold, hard ambition. There is a predator on the market, Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Milwaukee Bucks Titan is the ultimate prize, and the Sharks are circling. Golden State is desperate. They are trying to clear the deck to make a legitimate run at the Greek Freak. And that is the tragedy of Draymond Green. To catch a whale like Giannis, you have to match the money. You need massive contracts to balance the scales. Draymond carries a $25 million cap hit with a $27 million player option looming. That is the magic number. That is the golden ticket that gets you a seat at the table for a superstar trade. But here is where the business side clashes violently with the human side. Draymond Green is not just a line item on a spreadsheet. He isn't just a salary to be moved. He is the pulse of the Steph Curry era. He is the fire in the locker room. He is the defensive general, the vocal leader, the guy who does the dirty work so the Splash Brothers can shine. You don't just replace that. Even Steve Kerr, the man who has coached him through it all, had to look him in the eye and admit the end might be here. Kerr confirmed he had the talk, the hard talk, telling Draymond that he might be wearing different colors before the week is out. And hearing Draymond tell it, that conversation hit harder than any screen he's ever set. It cut through the noise. Steve pulled me aside and said we needed to talk. And in that split second, everything got real. Yeah, the jokes stopped. I thought, wait a minute. Maybe I should be sweating this a little more than I am. I didn't panic, but I paused. I was like, okay. This is actually happening. He started with, how you doing? I gave him the athlete answer. I'm good, coach. I hear the rumors. It's weird, but I'm good. But then he looked at me and said, how is Hazel handling it? And that is when the reality smashed me in the face. That question right there, that tells you the game is over. When the head coach skips the basketball talk and asks how your wife is coping with the rumors, you know the paperwork is already being drafted. You know, the organization has moved past maybe and is sitting firmly on probably. For a guy who has never known another NBA home, who built a life and raised a family in the Bay, that realization is a dagger to the heart. But watch how Draymond handles the pressure. This is what separates the pros from the pretenders. He is standing in the middle of a hurricane with a calmness that is honestly terrifying. When the media pressed him on being shipped out, he didn't flinch. He gave the most gangster response possible. It's the kind of raw honesty that makes you realize why he is one of the most respected minds in the sport. They asked, "Where is your head at?" And he said, "Look, I've been here 14 years. I have zero reason to sit here and cry about leaving. But if they trade me, that's the business. It is what it is." Sleep? You think he's losing sleep? Please. That is a man who stares directly into the cold, ruthless soul of professional sports without blinking. He's been in the trenches long enough to know the ugly truth. Loyalty is just a fairy tale they sell at press conferences. When the scent of a championship is in the air, loyalty is the first casualty of war. He's seen enough to know the truth. Loyalty fades when a championship is within reach, and the Warriors are desperate, ready to risk everything for one final run in the Stephen Curry era. Golden State Warriors are desperate, clearly ready to burn down the house if it means squeezing one last title run out of the Stephen Curry era. And when pressed about this seismic shift, about the potential death of the dynasty, Draymond Green didn't flinch when addressing what it would actually mean if his legendary 14-year crusade in the Bay finally hit a brick wall. He put it bluntly, if you walked up to me 12 or 13 years ago and said, "Yo, sign this paper and you lock in a legacy for over a decade, are you kidding me?" I would have signed that contract before you could even finish the sentence. So why should I sit here and stress, what exactly do I have to be mad about? I've survived in this league for 13 and a half years. That is longer than 98% of players ever survive in one city. Just a kid from Saginaw, standing tall in one spot for over a decade. I don't know if the story ends at 13 and a half years, but if the curtain falls now, what a freaking run it has been. Send me the fine, I don't care. What a frickin' run. There is something terrifyingly calm about watching a gladiator face his own execution with a smile. He's staring at the end of his world and choosing gratitude over rage. Draymond has every right to be furious. He could be screaming about betrayal, about how the organization is shopping him like a spare part after all the blood he spilled for them, but he flips the script. He's looking at the scoreboard of life and realizing he's already won what most players would kill just a touch. But now, the question that is haunting every dark corner of the basketball world, the question fueling the fire, as these trade rumors turn into a roaring blaze, is terrifyingly simple. If the Warriors actually pull the trigger on this nuclear option, where does the villain of the NBA land? While half the league would kill for his defensive genius, one name keeps flashing in neon lights, drowning out every other conversation: the Los Angeles Lakers. And listen closely, this isn't some clickbait fantasy cooked up by bored writers. This is the result of a massive, shifting tectonic plate that has been grinding beneath the surface for years. We are talking about deep-rooted alliances, shadow business moves, and a level of respect that ignores the hatred between Western Conference rivals. The Lakers have been circling Draymond Green like sharks for seasons. And with every second that ticks by without a denial, the image of him betraying the Bay to where the purple and gold moves from impossible to inevitable. But the real explosive element here? The LeBron connection and the Olympic Brotherhood. You want to know why Los Angeles makes terrifying sense? You have to dissect the complex, heavy history between Draymond and the only man who rivals Kobe Bryant's shadow in L.A. We are talking about LeBron James. This is not just game recognizes game. This is a bond forged in fire. A brotherhood that rose from the ashes of one of the most violent rivalries in sports history. Deeply. LeBron James versus Draymond Green. 4 consecutive NBA Finals from 2015 to 2018. 4 straight years of total war. The highest stakes, the brightest lights, the devastating pressure. For 4 years, they didn't just play basketball. They tried to destroy each other on the biggest stage on earth. Those weren't games, they were brawls. Physical, emotional, borderline hateful collisions. Do you remember Game 7, 2016? Do you remember the tension in the air? That series alone should have made them enemies for life. But then, the script flipped. The hatred burned out and revealed a diamond-hard respect underneath. That respect morphed into a friendship that now threatens to completely upend the balance of power in the NBA. Draymond hasn't been shy. He's gone on record practically shouting that he has always wondered what it would feel like to go to war times with Times the King, not against him. That isn't idle chatter. That is a 4-time champion, a man who knows the cost of victory, openly fantasizing about joining forces with the one player who stands as the ultimate test of greatness. The fact that Draymond is even saying this out loud proves he sees something in LeBron's leadership that he desperately craves. But hold on, because the plot thickens even more. LeBron James was the puppet master behind the scenes, pulling strings to get Draymond on the 2024 Olympic squad. When the king decided to reclaim his throne on the international stage, he didn't just show up and hope for the best. He handpicked his soldiers. He went out and recruited the killers he wanted in his foxhole. The call went out in the dead of night. LeBron James wasn't just building a roster, he was assembling a war room to save a legacy. He dialed Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, and you better believe he called Draymond Green. This was the birth of what the streets were dubbing the Redeem Team 2.0. It was a desperate move born from humiliation, occurring right after the United States suffered a catastrophic, embarrassing showing at the 2023 FIBA World Cup. LeBron didn't just want all-stars, he demanded killers. He needed warriors with ice in their veins who he could trust when the world was watching and the pressure was suffocating. And make no mistake, Draymond Green's name was etched in permanent marker on that list. But in the world of high-stakes hoops, the script flipped in a way LeBron never saw coming. When USA Basketball released their 41-player pool for the Paris Games, Draymond was shockingly blacklisted. The reason? It was a direct indictment of the chaos he unleashed during the 2023-2024 NBA season. The league had cracked down hard on the enforcer. We are talking about the suspensions piling up, including that infamous 5-game ban for putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, and the indefinite suspension later cut to 12 games for striking Jusuf Nurkic. It was too much baggage, making it impossible for USA Basketball to justify the heat of bringing him along. Grant Hill, the man pulling the strings for USA Basketball, had to face the media firing squad. Hill tried to soften the blow, spinning the narrative that this exclusion was an act of mercy, claiming the organization wanted Draymond to focus on conquering his personal demons rather than chasing gold. But let's be real, Draymond was gutted. He was hurt by the snub, and the betrayal cut deep because prior conversations with Hill had led him to believe his ticket to Paris was already punched. He thought he was part of the Brotherhood. Draymond didn't hide the pain. He went public with his disappointment. He basically said, if I'm not good enough, just look me in the eye and say that. The frustration was radiating off him. Think about the disrespect. A two-time Olympic gold medalist, a defensive savant who has owned international play, suddenly told he is persona non grata at the very tournament he helped dominate, yet, in a twist of maturity that surprised the critics, Draymond swallowed that bitter pill and chose to cheer on his brothers and old enemies from the sidelines. But here is where the story gets weirdly fascinating. You would think this snub would drive a wedge between the king and the warrior, but even without sharing the court in 2024, their bond didn't just survive. It evolved into something unbreakable. The moment the gold medals were hung around their necks in Paris, the scene shifted. LeBron and Draymond were spotted tearing it up on vacation in Cannes, France. They were taking over the luxurious La Garite Beach Club, dancing on tables and popping bottles, looking for all the world like two brothers who had just conquered the globe together. That single image of LeBron James and Draymond Green vibing on the French Riviera screams volumes about the reality of where this relationship stands right now. Forget the polite handshakes and media-trained answers. These aren't just professional acquaintances playing nice for the cameras. This is a blood bond. These guys genuinely love running together, sharing empires, and holding a mutual respect that goes way deeper than a basketball rim. And speaking of empires built on shared interests, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Draymond Green are already locked in as teammates in at least one major arena. All three Titans are major investors in Tequila Lobos, 1707, a powerhouse brand that hit the US market back in 2020. So, when the rumors start flying about these three potentially joining forces on the hardwood, don't think for a second this is about strangers learning to coexist. This is about business partners who have already been winning together, simply moving their office from the boardroom to the court. And you cannot ignore the shadow looming over all of this, Clutch Sports Group. All three answer to the same power broker, Rich Paul. That isn't a minor detail, it is the master key to the whole operation. It is the golden thread connecting every moving part. When you share an agent, the back-channel talks happen at lightning speed. Intel flows like water. and the complex logistics of a blockbuster trade suddenly become a whole lot easier to massage into existence. The on-court chemistry between Bron and Dre isn't a theory. It's a proven fact we have seen flashes of for years. Even when they were trying to destroy each other on opposite sides of the most legendary series in NBA history. LeBron has spent a lifetime recruiting weapons, and Draymond has always been that one piece, the Swiss Army knife he has been dying to wield. The 2024 Olympics, even with Draymond watching from home, just threw gasoline on that fire. Seeing Steph Curry and LeBron finally sync up in Paris made Draymond hungry. He openly admitted he wants that same magic with the King. Look at what LeBron did in Paris. He led Team USA in points, rebounds, and assists during the 2024 games. It was a historic display of dominance from a guy who turned 40 years old in December. 40! He became the first player in the history of the Olympics to lead a gold medal squad in rebounds and assists per game. Unprecedented. That level of greatness at that age didn't just impress Draymond, it validated everything he believes about LeBron's immortality night after night. So, stack up the evidence. The brotherhood, the respect, the tequila money, the clutch connection, and the hunger to win. It explains why a Draymond Green trade to the Lakers isn't just some wild internet rumor. It feels written in the stars. An inevitable collision. Anthony Davis and the ultimate defensive enforcer? Terrifying. But while the Bron and Dre bromance grabs the headlines and they boast the longer friendship, there is another monster in the Lakers locker room whose reaction to this potential trade could make or break the entire fantasy. We are talking about Anthony Davis. And forget everything you think you know about NBA rivalries. The dynamic between AD and Draymond is arguably the most explosive psychological drama in the league today. These two titans haven't just been playing basketball. They have been waging absolute war on the hardwood for over a decade. We are talking 47 total battles, 31 regular season clashes, and 15 playoff bloodbaths. The history here is heavy, and the record is shocking. Draymond holds a crushing 33-14 winning record over Davis, including a 10-5 stranglehold in the postseason. Those numbers scream one thing. When these giants collide, the pressure is suffocating and the stakes go through the roof. Usually, Green's squad walks away with the crown, but looking at the win-loss column is lazy analysis. To understand why this rivalry is must-see TV, you have to look closer. It is about the savage nature of the competition itself, the chess match within the game. Since the 2017-18 season, Draymond has taken the assignment of guarding Anthony Davis personally on over 600 half-court possessions. The result? Total suffocation. He has choked Davis down to 1.1 to 1 points per shot, way below AD's scorching career average of 1.3 to 4. That is not just good defense, that is elite Hall of Fame level erasure against one of the most unstoppable offensive weapons on the planet. Flashback to the 2018 Western Conference semis. Davis is in New Orleans, an absolute monster. Right? Wrong. Draymond put him in a straitjacket, holding him to 44.3% shooting. The Warriors cruised to a 4-1 series victory, leaving no doubt who owned the paint. Even their most recent collision in the 2023 playoffs turned into a physical street fight, with Green making AD pay a heavy toll for every single bucket he scraped together. But here is the plot twist that separates true competitors from bitter enemies. Despite the elbows thrown, the trash talk, and the bad blood on the floor, Davis and Green share a brotherhood forged in fire. You can see the switch flip the second the final buzzer sounds. The hostility evaporates instantly, replaced by fierce hugs and a level of respect that only exists between warriors who have survived the trenches together. Listen to them in interviews. They never downplay the other. They acknowledge the greatness, openly admitting that facing each other is a nightmare. The ultimate proof? Watch the footage where Draymond actually crashes Anthony Davis's post-game interview after a Lakers win. He didn't interrupt to talk trash. He did it to pay homage to the damage AD just inflicted on the court. They had absolutely zero answers for you tonight. Talk to me. What was the mindset out there? It was just pure aggression. Obviously, playing without that guy right there, referring to Green, changes the entire game. He makes it easy for them. He is the specialist, the chaos agent roaming around and wrecking plays. We knew his absence hurt their defense, so we just kept moving the rock. Sharing the basketball, hitting guys in their sweet spots, and burying the shots. Simple as that. Did you catch that? Even in the glow of victory, Davis immediately tips his cap to Draymond's defensive impact. He didn't have to say a word about the opposition. He could have basked in the glory of his own stat line, but instead, he went out of his way to highlight the void Draymond leaves when he isn't on the floor. That is a level of mutual respect that makes you wonder what kind of havoc could these two wreak if they ever wore the same jersey. And speaking of that potential powerhouse, Draymond has never been shy about praising the Brow's skill set. AD is tough, man. He is a different breed. It is funny, back when AD entered the league, he was dropping 20 a night with 0 plays run for him. He is the type of killer who gets buckets in the flow of the game. You do not even have to feed him. He is going to eat anyway. Obviously, they feature him heavily now, and man, he can put it on the floor, dominate the post, and he's got that soft touch around the rim. His mid-range is automatic, and he is hitting the 3-ball better this year. The man is just a nightmare cover. He is a tough cover. That phrase right there tells you everything about how a defensive genius views Anthony Davis. Draymond isn't offering empty compliments to be polite. He is dissecting the specific weapons that make Davis a defensive coordinator's worst fear. And when Draymond Green, arguably the smartest defender to ever lace them up, calls you a tough cover, that is a certified warning to the rest of the league. But Green didn't stop there. He laid out the impossible dilemma defenders face against a unicorn like Davis. Most guys, you are either too slow and he cooks you in space, or you are too small and he buries you under the rim. We all know what he brings defensively too. Man, I really wish I could have been out there for that game. You have to love playing against that kind of speed. When you get the chance to lock horns with AD or LeBron, those are the titans that force you to level up. Because if you do not bring your absolute best, you know they are going to embarrass you on national television. And that right there is the savage competitive spirit that defines Draymond Green's legacy. He doesn't run from the monsters in the paint, he chases them. He lives for the moment where everything is on the line against the best in the world. He is sprinting straight toward the fire. Mentioning AD and LeBron in the same breath isn't just a compliment, it is a declaration of intent about joining forces with the enemy. But hold on, picture the absolute nightmare scenario for the rest of the league. What happens when Draymond Green and Anthony Davis stop fighting each other and start hunting together? Forget about containing AD's brilliance. Draymond would be weaponizing it. Instead of a brutal war for rebounds, they would be dominating the glass as a single unit. No more exploiting weaknesses. They would be shielding each other's blind spots, covering every inch of the floor. Critics focus on the numbers, but look closer. Draymond's elite passing averaging over 5.3 assists a night is the key. That vision takes a massive weight off Anthony Davis's shoulders. AD stops grinding for every single bucket. Suddenly, he has a playmaking genius feeding him the ball exactly where he can do the most damage. And on the defensive end, it is lights out. You pair Draymond's savage perimeter versatility with AD's elite rim protection, you are looking at a defensive wall that the NBA has not seen in a decade. A complete lockdown. History shows the battle scars. Davis has put up 22.9 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists across 31 wars against Draymond. But lately, those numbers are dropping. Green's defensive mind games are taking a toll. He is inside AD's head. Now flip the script. Imagine that psychological intensity aimed at the opposition instead of at each other. It is terrifying. This chemistry isn't a gamble, it is a guarantee. Both men have hoisted the trophy, they have championship blood, they know the price of victory, and they have proven they can swallow their pride to win the war. That mix of battle-tested IQ and pure selflessness, it is practically extinct in modern basketball. And then, the king. The relationship with LeBron James is the glue that binds this entire volatile experiment together. Anthony Davis and LeBron have been running a two-man demolition crew for 6 seasons now. Even Steph Curry, Team USA teammate and rival, admitted in Paris that the LeBron-Davis connection is a problem with no solution. Throwing Draymond into that fire, it does not break the system, it supercharges it. Green orchestrating from the high post, creating chaos, finding LeBron and AD in their kill zones. It is checkmate. As we speak, the phone lines are quiet. No official deal. Draymond Green is still wearing Golden State colors as the February 5th deadline ticks closer like a time bomb. But the foundation is built, the fit is undeniable, And most dangerously, LeBron, AD, and Draymond all seem ready to pull the trigger on this massive shakeup. Draymond himself dropped a hint, getting emotional about his legendary run in the Bay. I am blessed. I am lucky. I am just grateful. My family has not packed a box since I started. That is incredible. I never take that stability for granted. You see guys bouncing around, moving their families 2-3 times a year. So I have deep gratitude for my spot in this game, for this run I have had here. But like I said, I do not know if it ends. I do not know what comes next. Whether Draymond bleeds purple and gold or rides into the sunset with the Warriors, the entire basketball world is holding its breath. Because a super team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Draymond Green, that is the kind of drama that shatters regular season narratives. We are talking about legacy. We are talking about a brotherhood forged in fire. And we are talking about one final desperate championship run that could cement these three legends into basketball immortality forever. Thanks for watching. If you want more high-stakes NBA drama, smash one of the videos on your screen right now. Don't miss out.